Guys, you need to be watching your videos on just huge, big ass screens. You gotta watch your videos on huge screens. In my opinion, every filmmaker, content creator, videographer out there should be watching their works, their videos, their films on as big of a screen as possible. Trust me, like, I know I sound like a crazy person right now. Watching your films on a huge screen, I can't even begin to describe what it's like seeing your work, seeing your films, seeing your videos on something that's just absolutely huge. So I'm not even talking about like on a big tablet or like a 32-inch monitor for your computer. No, I'm talking about huge, like at least 55-inch TV, but like go up to 75 inches, 85 inches. Or if you can make this work, a huge 110-inch screen from a projector. Trust me, get your work on some huge screens, like the biggest you can possibly get your hands on right now, and you will notice that you just get immersed in your own experiences, and it'll just give you one of the best feelings ever. So today, I'm gonna dive into why this is such a good idea for you to be doing, as well as giving you some ideas on how you can possibly achieve this at home to get the most out of your viewing experience. So I know these days everybody is consuming content on their smartphones, and although they have been getting bigger and bigger, these are still quite small devices. But on the flip side, you may have noticed that TVs are getting bigger and bigger. In the past, having a 45-inch TV on your wall at home would have blown people away, and it would have put them in complete awe coming over to your house to watch a movie on a screen that size. But now 55 inches is considered small. So I feel like in the home entertainment sector, we've always been trying to accomplish that movie theater experience at home. But for the longest time, there was a huge difference between that viewing experience at home versus at the movie theaters. The screens at the theater were just gigantic compared to the TVs you would have at home. And it really wasn't until the late 2000s that we started getting proper LCD 1080p widescreen TVs almost in every home. Now, this definitely did bring consumers much closer to that theatrical experience at home, but with the limitations of resolution and screen size, it really still didn't come close to the theatrical experience. But in the past few years, with 4K TVs becoming much more popularized and commonplace in people's homes, as well as the price of them coming down and the size of them just starting to balloon and get gigantic, we are now getting closer than ever to that theatrical experience at home. And this really does apply to smartphones as well. I remember back in the day when I was in grade 6, many years ago, I got my first cell phone, way before the days of smartphones. And it was this tiny little Kyocera slider cell phone. And I remember it being one of the smaller cell phones at that time. And everybody was talking about how phones are gonna be getting smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where they're probably gonna be an implant in our ears one day. Now, as cool of an idea as that would be, that is not what is happening anymore. Phones, after they started shrinking, now they started getting bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where we basically have tablets in our hands and our pockets all the time. So that is how people are consuming content. So I know it's much smaller than something like a TV, but when you're bringing it close to your face to watch that, you're still getting a relatively big viewing experience in the palm of your hand. So the point of all that is to say that screens seemingly are going to be continuing to get bigger and bigger. So what does this all have to do with watching your works on as big of a screen as possible? Well, if we look to Hollywood actors and Hollywood in general, lately they have been talking it up like crazy about getting back into the theaters to watch their movies on as big of a screen as possible. They really want people to be immersed in the experience of watching their films, and they think that can't possibly be done by just watching at home.
You know, my favorite thing about the movie is like it feels like a movie. It feels like a real, like, you know, go to the film movie that, you know, you kind of, the reason why you go.
Our extraordinary cast and crew gave it their all to bring you the most immersive, authentic, and entertaining cinematic experience on the biggest screens exclusively and only in the theaters.
I didn't want the year to end without thanking you all for coming out to the theaters, and thank you for supporting Top Gun Maverick. We'll see you at the movie. We'll see you at the movie.
So I agree with them. I think you should be watching movies and content on as big of a screen as possible. I'm always going to be a supporter of that. I will always say my TV's not big enough, and I absolutely love going to the movie theater to watch movies on the huge screen. But I think we can take something from their message and apply it to ourselves. Why do we have to take those concepts and those notions about watching their content, their films on as big of a screen as possible, but not apply it to ourselves? Why are we happy enough watching our content on our phones, on our tablets, or on our small enough computer screens? I I think we should be striving for more than that as content creators, videographers, as filmmakers, because there truly is nothing like watching your videos, your works, your masterpieces on a huge screen. So how can you go about doing this for yourself, having this exact same experience from the comfort of your own home? Well, for starters, you can get a bigger monitor for when you're editing your videos on your computer. I started out with a 17-inch screen when I first started editing on a MacBook Pro, and as years went by, I went bigger and bigger. I upgraded to a 24-inch widescreen monitor, then a 27-inch iMac, and finally a 34-inch ultra-wide monitor. And with each upgrade, I got more and more out of my viewing experience. I really started to feel like I was able to be sucked into the works that I was creating. But I still wasn't completely satisfied with this. And it really wasn't until I made my first short film, Glitter Girl, that I really wanted to experience my film on a much bigger screen. So I set out to hook up my laptop to my 55-inch TV and watch my film on there. And boy, oh boy, was it an experience to behold. I remember the first time watching that film on that TV, and again, I know that's not the biggest TV out there, but it's much bigger and much more immersive than just watching it on my laptop or my computer. And it was just an experience. It felt like I had just completely elevated myself and my work. And I know this might sound silly or weird, but I truly felt like a real filmmaker in that moment. We're only ever used to watching actual TV shows and movies on our bigger screens like our TVs, so there was just something about seeing my work on that big of a screen that made it feel much more real and that much more worth it to me. And as great of an experience as that was, I knew I could still do more. I knew I could still go bigger. And that is when I decided to get a projector and screen. I can't even begin to describe to you what it is like to watch my works, my films, on a 110-inch screen. It is just otherworldly feeling, and you just really feel like you're right there and inside your work. And it really did make me feel quite emotional. It brought me back to that first time I watched my short film on my 55-inch TV, but I didn't really feel like I could feel that again, or even stronger feelings of excitement and happiness and just an overall love for what I'm doing and for the art of filmmaking. It really sucked me into the experience to a whole other extent that it just didn't quite get when I was watching it on my TV. Now, I know it's not fully feasible for everyone to have a mini home theater at home, but if you could do something even slightly similar to this at home, you will truly elevate your viewing experience and experience your work in a way you didn't think possible. I don't even have a huge dedicated room for this. Some people probably think I'm crazy for having this mini home theater set up in my home, but it actually shares a room with my desk where I do my editing all day long. So it is kind of like my office room where I edit and work all day long, but then behind me on the other side of that, that's where my little couch is, and one whole wall is just filled with this 110-inch screen. This room is something like 10 feet wide by 12 feet long, so it's not huge. It's more or less like a standard sized bedroom, but this is more than big enough to accommodate something like a short throw projector and a huge screen. And the great thing about doing this type of setup at home, if you can find the space to squeeze it, is that you can enjoy it for your own personal use too. My wife and I use this all the time for movie nights. We look forward to it almost every single week. Friday nights or Saturday nights becomes movie night for us. So we basically have this whole theatrical movie experience from the comfort of our own home. And that actually reminds me, before I wrap up this video, I do want to take a moment to shout out the sponsor of today's video, and that is Cuts Clothing. They have been outfitting me for quite some time now, and I have been talking quite a bit about them lately, but they do have a huge offering, and they really do have some awesome clothes to even lounge about at home to get nice and comfortable for date night. Valentine's Day is coming up, so they definitely do have some awesome outfits to outfit you for if you're gonna go out for date night, or if you're gonna be like my wife and I and stay home, cozy up on the couch and cuddle up to watch a movie for Valentine's Day. They've got you covered with these awesome Sherpa sweaters that come in this beautiful Cabernet color. And yes, they are matching his and her sweaters. They do have women's wear as well, not just men's wear. And let me tell you, since getting this for my wife as an early Valentine's Day present, she is absolutely loving it just as much as I love mine. So if you've got a significant other in your life that you want to get a gift for Valentine's Day for, check out Cuts Clothing today, and you can save 15% off your entire order by going to the link in the description down below or using the code AlexSPerry15 at checkout. They do have a ton of other clothes that are perfect for content creators, videographers, and filmmakers, so make sure you check them out. Thank you so much, Cuts, for continuing to support this channel. So in conclusion, I think it is absolutely beneficial as a filmmaker, as a videographer, as a content creator, to watch your works or films on as big of a screen as possible. I know it might not be possible for everyone to go projector screen big in their home, but getting as big of a viewing experience as possible for your works and your films at home is going to truly elevate your viewing experience and take it to the next level. It'll really help you take in your work in a completely different way. And I think every filmmaker, every content creator should be able to experience their work in that way. There's just truly nothing like taking in your work in that way. And you really won't understand what I'm talking about until you give it a try for yourself. So I'd love to hear from you about how you typically enjoy your works or your films. Do you watch them on your phone, tablet, your laptop, or do you go bigger and pop them on the TV, kind of like I do? Let me know in the comments down below. And with that, thank you as always for watching and supporting this channel. I'm Alex Perry. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one. Yes, listen to Tom Cruise. He knows what he's talking about. He makes some of the biggest, best movies out there. I know, he might be a little crazy, but that's what makes him such an awesome filmmaker and actor. Just saying. Just saying. Guys, bigger. Go bigger. I know sometimes people like to say bigger isn't always better, but in this case, it is. I know people like to say it's not always about size. Well, for this it is. Size does matter.